Hey guys, we're here at the Marion Indiana Airstrip Attack half mile. This is day 2, Sunday afternoon. Yesterday, there were some issues that ended up being not actually big issues, but my safety and the car's safety is more important than trying to get runs in, regardless of what the event costs or why we're here. We were talking about this last night, and like this event, it kind of stinks that I didn't get to get a lot of runs in yesterday, but the main reason I do this with the car is because I'm challenging myself to see what I can create, and this event is just a verification of that entire process. So yeah, it's a bummer that I didn't get more runs in, but this entire build process was the fun part. It just ends with this. So we got some things figured out. The car's running way better.
Yep.
We did get a shakedown run in yesterday, went 132 accidentally on gate pressure because the wheel speed was unplugged. So 13 pounds of boost, went 132, kind of granny shifting, felt really slow.
Yep.
But it's running better. I'm ready to go out. I turned it up a little bit. I'm gonna aim for maybe 140s, 150s somewhere on this run. And assuming everything goes well, we'll just keep taking her up.
Yep.
What is this beast? What is that? That's that Saturn Ion Alan McClure. That's right. He claims he's got 205 horsepower. Something tells me it's got a little more than that. That thing's got a bullhorn and holes in the bumper. That's got to be fast. Each one of those holes adds 10 miles an hour to the top end is what I heard. Got all the aero. I mean, come on. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it's Alan in a Saturn out on a racetrack going 144.93 miles an hour. Does it get any better than that, Tiffany?
That's pretty exciting.
Okay guys, we're back here at the shop. I realized that our kind of close down after the event Sunday was very short because we had nothing left mentally.
We had no brain.
Well, we didn't get what we wanted, but it happens. I can't hardly even explain how taxing the last couple weeks were. It was my own fault. I waited way too long to get some things on the car put together, and didn't run into any big issues along the way, just enough little ones that it really set the timeline back.
Yeah, the last 10% of the car always takes 90% of the time.
It really did. One of the things that I really wanted to talk to you guys about is the community that we have here at ZZP. Like, these people 100% are an extended family to me, and that goes both ways. I had several people staying after work with me multiple days a week till 10, 11, midnight some nights, just doing whatever they could to make sure that I had the manpower that I needed to make this event happen.
And we made it happen.
And we made it happen. We didn't see oil pressure on the engine until 10 o'clock Friday night. We pushed it into the trailer and we took off, headed to Marion. Got 4 hours of sleep, and then we were up into the track. There were a few things that in hindsight were pretty small issues. One of them was getting the car to idle smooth. Big cams, low compression, 520-pound injectors. It's not gonna idle like a street car. But in the process of getting it to idle smooth enough that I could, take it up to the line, there picked up an audible misfire that would kind of come and go at idle. I had to know without any doubt whatsoever that the car was safe for me to go out there. Not just because of the safety of the car, but the safety of me, the safety of other drivers. I didn't want something to go wrong and oil down the track. So we went through a many hour-long diag process of swapping the injectors around, swapping the injector plugs around, changing spark plugs, changing the ignition coils, ignition wires, compression testing, finding ways that we could swip things in the tune and the wiring and test the wiring harness as a whole. And we basically got to the point where anything that we could possibly checked fine.
Yep.
And in hindsight, it ended up just being an ignition timing issue and an issue with the fuel delivery of these gigantic injectors at idle. Hindsight 2020, it was an insignificant issue, but like I said, I had to know that the car was safe to go out there. Once we finally kind of got to the end of the road, it's like, well, I guess we're just going to put some load to it and see how it does. As soon as you get some RPM and boost into it, it was a dang rocket. So we go out Saturday afternoon. I only got one pass in because we took so long with the diag, but it ran 133, I think. Wheel speed sensor was unplugged. If that's the only thing that we missed on the rush of getting this together, I'm happy with that.
I know.
But the car thought I was in neutral, so I only had 12, 13 PSI the whole pass. Still ran a 133, so I was like, okay, not bad. We can work from there. We come back out Sunday. I know the car's ready to go. I get the idle even smoother than it was the day before, thanks to some tips from Aaron from English Racing. And we go out, I put a little bit of boost in it, run a 144. Come back and I throw another few pounds in the top end. I run a 159. At the end of the 159 pass, when I stopped to pick up the parachute, fired the car back up, puffed smoke out the tailpipe. Crap, maybe something happened to the small turbo is what I was wondering, because it takes one heck of a beating in the configuration that it's in. I had a spare cartridge with us. We get back to the pits, pull the coupler off, and there's oil in the compressor housing. So that just seemed like the logical thing. So we spend the next 2 hours or so getting the turbo kit apart, swapping the center section, get everything back together, fire the car up, and it still had a little puff of smoke. But I was like, there's probably oil in the pipes and whatnot that has to burn out. We roll up to the lines and try to get one more hit in, and they had just closed the line.
Oh my gosh.
And I could see the panic in Tyler's face while he's up there talking to Jimmy, and I'm sitting there like, come on, what can you do?
An incredible amount of work, but to do, and we've done this plenty of times. Just to put in that extra sweat, because we've got time to make one more run.
Right.
And then to get up there and him say no was just like, oh my gosh.
But Jimmy is a nice guy, and he let us in to be the very last car to go down the strip. There was a plane getting ready to take off in 5 minutes, so I had to go right now. So I was scrambling to get my harness on, the neck restraint, helmet, everything, get the car ready to go. I fire it up, it's still puffing a little bit of smoke, whatever, there's oil in the pipes, it'll clear out. And I get up to the line, and as soon as I stop, the lady drops her arm, and I completely screwed it up. It was 100% my fault. With the engine set up the way it is, with the low compression, built for big boost, the aggressive cams, and the giant injectors, from like 2,000 to 3,500, the car doesn't have anything. It's all top end. I bogged the snot out of the launch and fell into that crappy zone where there's no power, and the car was struggling just to get out of that RPM range. In hindsight, I should have just slipped the clutch and got a little bit of engine RPM in it, but it was the heat of the moment scramble, and I screwed up. It is what it is. And then it finally comes out of it, blows the tires off, and I was already screwed up in the head, so I short shifted a second and I bog it again. And it's like, come on, really? But it's the last run of the day. I'm literally the last car to go down, so I just let it climb out of it. Pulls through second like a champ. I hit third, immediately thumb the scramble button, which gives me another 5 pounds on top of the 10 that I had already put in it. Took it like a champ, ran almost 40 PSI through third gear. Let go, no lift, fourth, back on the scramble, and we're just under 45 pounds through fourth gear. And the car felt so incredibly fast. By far the worst run of the event that I did, and it's still back half to 160. Yep. So, like, we get back, and some people are, like, with purely good intentions, like, trying to console me about not getting a record run in. But by that time, I was already looking at the data logs and seeing the G-force that the car was pulling and the way the back pressure ratio was running. I have shaft speed sensors on both turbos so that I can monitor how efficiently the compound setup is operating, and the thing just wants more power. Without getting into too much of the technical details, which I'll go into in a different video, the compound system was more efficient the more boost I threw at it. I can watch the progression in my last run where the boost climbs through each gear change, and basically the ratio of back pressure to boost pressure got closer and more efficient as I turned the boost up, and the turbos could actually work together. So I was confident that everything was going to work well, but to actually get a hard back half pass in, pull the data log, and to see this experiment that I've created doing exactly what I wanted it to do was 100 times more rewarding than chipping a record run, because I saw right in front of me that the car is going to do exactly what I want it to do once I get all the pieces lined up. The records can fall another day. I've got plenty of time there's a lot of little tweaks that I'd like to make. I'd like to clean up some of the lines on here. You know, paint the charge pipes and intercooler, a few little touch-ups like that, get the carpet back in the car.
Yep.
But the rush is off now. But this car has been my life for the past 10 years, not because I wanted to be the world's fastest Saturn driver. It was just what I have, and it allows me to do these wild experiments like this and push my own limits of what I can come up with, what I can put together. But the truth is, I couldn't do this without the people that I have here. And that's a side of ZZP that you guys don't really get to see very often, but is very much active.
That's one thing that I love about racing culture is everyone's a big family. We're all a big family here.
We all want to see each other succeed.
Yeah. So it's great. It was a great event. Turns out, after we spent 2 hours swapping the turbo.
Completely forgot about that.
I'm taking the front bumper off to get it in the trailer. I'm laying down and I'm taking off the push pins, and I'm like, hey Al, what's this wire here for?
The turbo was never bad.
It was never bad.
The ground wire from my scavenge pump came loose.
So?
But like I explained earlier, I mean, there's smoke out the tailpipe, there's oil in the compressor cover. Makes sense that the turbo went bad, even though there was no shaft play. Yeah. And I look at the data log and the shaft speed was where it was supposed to be. But what else could it be?
Yeah.
We were so exhausted by that point that it didn't even cross my mind that maybe the scavenge pump wasn't working.
Yeah.
So, yeah, all the issues we ran into in hindsight were insignificant. The car was ready to go, I just wasn't ready to go. Is really what it came down to.
But yeah, so I know Al's excited about this setup. It's been great, me being just by his side, learning about compound setups, and you know, they're not for everyone, clearly, because like we estimated, this would probably be a $30,000 to $40,000 build.
Just in labor.
Just in labor. So don't email customer service asking for
Please don't.
But we'll make a breakdown video. Go over
after we get it on the dyno.
Yeah.
Because wild thing that many of you may think sounds insane, the car hasn't even been strapped down on the dyno yet. The dyno numbers are a cool thing to have, but I didn't build the car to be a dyno queen. I built it to be a half-mile rocket. And so that's where we went, and that's where we did the shakedown and getting everything dialed in. Now looking back at the data logs, knowing what I made on the last setup and looking at the G-force meter compared to last year, knowing the car is a little heavier than it was, I am very, very excited to get it on the dyno and see how it's actually performing.
Yep.
Because I have a number in my head, but I'm just gonna leave that for the next video.
We'll see you guys.
Deuces.